Nigga, I told you, nigga. I told you, nigga. Until the day end, nigga, you can always on me, pussy.
The Untouchable True School Sports Empire proudly presents something the boxing game's been missing. Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, I wanted to get my comments on the little scuffle that happened this past weekend between Gary Russell Jr. and Chris Colbert. You know, for those that know, for those that don't know, Gary Russell Jr. was there to train his brother, Gary Anton Russell, who had a fight with Rancis Bartholomew. More on that later on. But he was there with his brother, and while he was there, he crossed paths with Chris Colbert, a guy who had been calling him out on social media, running his mouth a lot recently. So Chris Colbert pretty much went up to him and said, "Look, man, you wanna spar? The gym's right up the street. We can spar whenever you want." And then Gary Russell said, my shoulder hurts. Oh, my shoulder hurt. I got surgery on it, but I can smack a motherfucker though. And so he threatened to smack Chris Colbert. And then he kind of just walked away. And then Chris Colbert said that's not going to happen. He walked away. And then Chris Colbert pretty much went on a long rant about how these boxers do a lot of talking. Now, I'm going to say this. A lot of people have had a lot of things to say about these two guys. Chris Colbert, for him, pretty much, for lack of a better term, bitching out when he fought Hector Luis Garcia. And then Gary Russell Jr., for him, a lot of people think he's delusional for saying that he beat Mark Marksile. I don't think he is, but that's just my opinion. But these guys are coming off losses. They've both been heavily scrutinized, and they both are looking to get back into the mix. Gary Russell Jr. did have surgery, so that's gonna take some time. Hopefully he can get back in the ring, because the way it sounded in the other interviews I watched, it don't sound like Gary Russell Jr. really is eager to get back in the ring. So who knows, he may retire soon. But so far as a fight with him and Chris Colbert is concerned, first and foremost, let me say this: Chris Colbert, I think, has responded very well to the loss. I mean, I know he hasn't fought yet, and we have to see how he looks in the ring, and he does look a little fat and around the sides. But Chris Colbert is looking for the big fights. He's looking for a fight that if he wins it, it'll get the respect put back on his name. Because let's be real, when he fought Hector Luis Garcia, Chris Colbert looked about as bad as you're ever going to look in a loss. Because when you consider the fact that he talked all that gang of trash about, Shakur, and how he's a dog, and how he's this, and then, he said some things when I interviewed him as well. For him to really just mail it in the way he did in the latter part of the fight against Hector Luis Garcia was a really, really big blemish on him. But, he's owned up to it, and he's trying to get big fights. He's even considering going to a higher weight class at 135 to fight one of the hottest names in the PBC stable, in the Ghost, Frank Martin. So if he can beat a guy like Frank Martin, knock him off while he's building his little momentum, then all of a sudden, then Chris Colbert, gets more respect put back on his name, and people don't have as many bad things to say about him. And I would like to fight with him and Gary Russell Jr. because Gary Russell Jr., for good, bad, or indifferent, this has been a guy that over the years has talked a whole lot. Very talented fighter, really good fighter, but he seems to kind of suffer from like Demetrius Andrade syndrome, to where he has these delusions of grandeur, to where he doesn't want to actually get in the ring with people and fight. And did some guys duck and avoid Gary Russell Jr.? I believe so. I think some guys did avoid Gary Russell Jr., but nobody's ever 100% right in boxing, and nobody's ever 100% wrong either. There's guys that do get ducked, but then sometimes they do the ducking themselves. So Gary Russell Jr. needs to, if he has any ambition to make anything of his career, I think a fight like this with Chris Colbert is one that he needs to be looking at, because Chris Colbert is a guy that has a very brash personality. He's able to draw and command a lot of attention in and outside of boxing. So you beat him, you're going to have eyeballs on you. That's going to be a good feather in your cap. And you guys seem to have some real animosity there, and it looks like it would make for an exciting build-up to the fight. So I like the fight, man. Gary Russell Jr. coming off of a loss, looking to get back in the mix. Chris Colbert coming off an embarrassing, disgraceful loss, looking to get back in the mix of things and fight for his reputation in boxing. you know, what more would you want? If Chris Colbert's not gonna fight Frank Martin, which is the fight that he keeps talking about, which I would, if he does just so much as just take the fight, I respect him because he's going up to a higher weight class, coming off a loss, to fight a guy who's undefeated, a guy that, you know, is probably in the running for a Gervonta Davis fight. As far as I'm concerned, he ain't too far away from it, in my opinion. So if he beats him, it's a big thing for him. But yeah, these guys are going back and forth at it. Gary Russell Jr. said all these things, but then he didn't really smack Chris Colbert. He just kind of said it and left. But yeah, let me know what you guys think, man, because Gary Russell Jr., he's at a place in his career to where, like, you know, is he going to continue to box? Does he still have, do they still have any ambition to do anything in his career? Because people question if he even had it in the first place. You know, this is a guy that we hear about him one day, and then we don't hear about it for like 22 months, and then he fights, and then we don't hear about it for like 25 months. Then, you know, he fights, and then we don't hear about him for 20 months again. Like, so it's just been stopping and starting, stopping and starting, stopping and starting, stopping. No consistent momentum in the career of Gary Russell Jr. And look, it's not going to change. Like that won't change. I don't expect it to. So we'll revisit this in about 14 months. But I felt like this whole thing with him and Chris Colbert was worth talking about. I would like to see him and Chris Colbert fight because I do think it will be a good fight for boxing, for the fans, for the fighters' careers, and yeah, for that whole like 130 to 135 division in the PBC stable. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. What do you guys think about a potential matchup with Chris Colbert and Gary Russell Jr., and what did you make of their scuffle this past weekend in New York City at the Barclays Center? Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Make sure you guys take the time to subscribe, and like I say in every single one of these videos, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just a kid from Daniel. So until next time, take care.
Thank you for watching True School Sports.
No, follow this kid. Oh. You know, he's a true, you know, he's a young, true, passionate person who follows boxing. He wakes up thinking about boxing and he goes to sleep thinking about boxing.
This is true. This is
good kid, good man, and looking forward to seeing him everywhere in the boxing world.
Hey man, if you ain't subscribed to True School Sports, you fucking up, man. Make sure you subscribe, bro.
Fucking up big time.
Make sure, man.